Welcome everybody to the Wonk podcast. I'm your host TK, and this week's guest is Brandon Dermer. He writes and directs commercials, music videos, and most recently created the Vice series What Would Diplo Do? He also produces live concerts like Magical to Radical. Hope you enjoy and find it as informational as I did. Wonk on, y'all.
This artist, Crafty Tibbles, I saw her post that goblin a few years ago, and I DM'd her. I was like, I need to buy that off you.
Was that made for your goblin?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She was just a fan, so I bought it off her. And then she made one of Brendan, too. Anytime I see really cool art from any of the projects, I try to reach out. Like, that's the, on that wall, I have the cheerleader from I Do Coke. Some girl in France drew that.
That's dope.
Yeah, this random stuff, and I'll be like, I'll Venmo you $50 for that or whatever, you know?
And they're like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you come up with the concept of the goblin for them?
Yes.
Their name of the band was...
They were Necrogoblicon. They were a band they were 2 albums in at that point.
And they didn't have a mascot, and then you made their mascot, basically.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, the story to that. Should I just go into the story of the goblins?
Let's go.
The goblins. So my neighbor, who's a good friend of mine, Randy, at the time he was working at this metal label called Sumerian, and he and I bond over beer and metal, and he was like, hey, one of the assistants at the company is playing a show tonight. If you want to go check it out, because I love live music, go and see concerts, whatnot, you know. And he's like, yeah, they're called Necrogoblicon. I was like, cool, I'm going out with some friends, I'll let you know. And on the way to go to dinner, I pull up on YouTube Necrogoblicon, and this song called Goblins Ahoy from their first album plays, and it's like goblin metal, pirate metal, really technical, weird stuff. And I was like, oh man, I have to see this. So I leave my other friends, I meet up with Randy, and we're driving to the Cobalt in Canoga Park.
Dope. Deep
valley. And we're listening to their album Stench. And that's where the song No One Survives that I did is on. And we're listening to it, and I'm like, man, this is either going to be like 8 incredibly talented guys like shredding, but really pretentious and mean or something, because it's so technical, or it's like one guy in a computer. You know what I mean? I couldn't figure it out. And then we get there, and it's just like 6 dudes who just look like dudes, who are classically trained and killing it, and with such commitment making this incredible goblin metal, like not winking, you know what I mean? The music is really well done, and the lyrics and the execution, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was brilliant. So I walk up to them, I'm like, I absolutely have to make a music video for you guys. They're a little drunk, they're like, yeah, we've heard that before, because they were like LA underground lure or something, you know, and they're like, everyone wants us to dress up, we're not gore, that's not our thing. And I was like, cool, let me just like step away with the album and see what comes. I actually a week later went home to Chicago to visit my family and my mom up in Wisconsin, and I listened. So my parents are split. My dad lives in Chicago, my mom lives in bumfuck Wisconsin, way deep in the woods, and I had to drive up there myself 4 hours, and I listened to the album on repeat all the way there, then all the way back. And then I sat at a bar in Chicago and just wrote this guy, John Goblicon, just like spewed out of me. You know, he's like you on your worst day, like hungover, anxiety-ridden, insecure, everything. And then I was so nervous to pitch them because I was so excited about the concept that I was like, if they don't want to do this, I'm going to be heartbroken. So I took them to the Pineapple Saloon on Van Nuys. And I sit them down, I order them drinks, and I pitch them the video. And then I'm like, at the end, what's going to happen is when he rips this guy's face off, his hands are going to go to the beat of the double bass, because like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they stood up and started clapping, and they're like, we're in. And then I'm like, how much money do you guys have as a band? And they're like, not so much. So I started casting it up. You know, I put my buddy John LeJoie in it. Mm-hmm. And then I threw Flesh Lightning, which we'll get into later. I had contacts to a bunch of porn stars, and I put Caden Cross in it. I put this guy, Tyler Dawson, who I met when I was an assistant, who's this awesome actor, and then through this filmmaker and writer, Marcus Dunstan, who did a bunch of the Saw films, and The Collector, who I also met when I was an assistant. I was like, I need to meet someone in the prosthetic world who can make me a goblin that could walk in the room right now and be real with us. So he put me in touch with this guy, Mark Villalobos, and I pitched him, and he was down. So once I had all those things put together, like this package almost, I reached out to 65 different brands asking for money, being like, this is who's in the video. And well, I guess I made a list of what could be in the video. I was like, okay, he works a day job, so he's drinking coffee he smokes weed in the video. There's a scene at a bar, blah, blah, blah. So I reached out to like coffee companies, alcohol, clothing, speakers even. And I got 3 brands to come in and help me finance it.
You just placed them into the video.
Yeah, but very organically. So I was looking like what's in the video. So like when he's smoking weed in that video, that's called The Incredible. And they gave me money, you know, but it was organic. It didn't feel like a, you know, incredible. It
like
was
Wayne's World style.
Yeah, but it was great because people in the comments on Reddit and everything were like, what's he smoking? And people go and be like, oh, it's in The Incredible. So they saw like a spike in sales from that.
Did you fund the whole video with those 3?
And then the band had a little bit of money because they sold their van.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how we paid for it. And it was, I didn't know it was going to, you know, the music's so extreme. I love it. I love metal, really do. And came up with metal. So I love the music, but I wasn't sure. But I wanted to make something that if you watched it on mute, you'd get the same emotional impact.
Yeah.
And it just really connected with people. So like, those guys are on tour right now. They just did the Vans Warped Tour. You know, the Goblin's there the whole time.
Goblin has a talk show, too.
Goblin has a talk show. We're actually on Thursday. Keith Buckley, the lead singer of Every Time I Die, this other metal band we love, he's releasing his 2nd novel, and he's doing a book release party at the Goblin's venue, which I don't know if you know, they own 1720, where we did Magical Day Radical.
The Goblins own that.
That's their venue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Keith is doing a book release party, and we're going to have the Goblin come out and interview him. That's going to be the Q&A and a live audience.
That's this Thursday.
This Thursday. I'll have to send you the flyer for that.
It'll be yesterday because we're posting this on Friday. But
we're going to film it and put it online.
Yeah, so look out for it. Or if you came, thanks for coming last night,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
You got crazy.
Oh, man, I did. It was that last tequila. That's always what it is.
It's always the last one.
Yeah, I shouldn't have had it. Should have just went with the water, but...
Yeah. Was that your first music video, or...?
No, so truly it dates back to, like, you know, high school is when...
Let's go there. Let's go high school in Chicago?
Yeah, high school.
Let's go there.
Suburbs of Chicago. I'm playing in a band. We're not very good, but we play every weekend.
What kind of music?
Like post-hardcore, emo shit.
Dope.
Like, our influences were, like, Glassjaw, who I love, and Finch. And we would play every single weekend, like 2 shows, but it would be like a basement and then like a VFW hall, or a basement and a pizza parlor, or the back of a restaurant, like not even like the back inside the restaurant, like the cooling area in the back, like where they load in.
Wow. And paid gigs?
So the basement's no way. If we sold merch, yeah. Yeah, no, like our biggest shows were like, we played with Fall Out Boy a few times at like the YMCA.
Dope.
One time we played, we drove to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and opened for Walls of Jericho, a metal band with a lady lead singer. Oh, we played Barack and Roll. I have a photo. We opened for Barack Obama, and we had at the time in 2003, we're like, a girl in my social studies class was like, hey, we're trying to get like eclectic music. Like we have rap, we have a DJ, we're looking for like a band. Do you want to play? And we're like, sure, we literally will play anywhere. Got to meet Barack Obama.
Wow.
Have a photo with him. At the time, it was just like, oh, cool, just some like local politician, whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But me and my friends who we're all out here now, we would make, outside of the band, we would make music videos and sketches together all the time. So we make music videos for my band, and then also at our school, we had morning announcements on TVs. I went to this high school of 4,000 people. Like when I graduated, I sat next to kids I'd never met before. It was nuts. So we had TV screens in every classroom, and there'd be the morning announcement. There'd be like the newscast folk, and then if my buddy Mike started Xbox Club to help him get a scholarship, and he employed me and my film buddies to make sketches for it. So we used to take old at the time, new UCB sketches from the Comedy Central show and basically remake them and swap out for Xbox Club. So like there was this one sketch where they were pitching, you know, get a new brain. Everyone, like it was like a seminar, and we were like, get a new brain by joining Xbox Club and blah, 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 blah.
No one in the high school really knew.
No, we were like the weird alt comedy troupe or whatever at our school.
Nice.
Yeah, we were rebelling. It was awesome. And then I went to Columbia for film school. My band broke up, But me and the bass player started another band where it was just the two of us, where we'd make beats and I'd play guitar and he'd sing. We continued making music videos for that. And then me and my buddies got a Panasonic DVX 100A, and we used to make like a short a month, every month. So we were in film school, I was waiting tables, and then we'd make a short every month. And then my one buddy, Arthur, he was a year older than us. He graduated. He worked at Motorola for a year and saved $10,000, and we made a feature. He wrote and I produced, and it was a total crash course in everything. Like, we did it all, you know. It was four of us, like, at the top, you know.
Everybody. You did everything.
Yeah, like
writing, sound.
We were the executive producers, but Arthur wrote and directed it. Zach and I produced it. Our buddy Justin shot it. Justin was in the band. He was the bass player in the high school band. And then in the second iteration, where we were the computer guitar band called Football Weather, yeah, it was an incredible experience because, like, I was waiting tables. It was the summer in between our junior and senior year. We casted it. We did casting calls, everything. That's how I met the Goblin. The guy who plays the Goblin now, who also I've put in What Would Diplo Do? He acts in it, everything. I met him through.
Who is he in What Would Diplo Do?
He, in episode 2, the Noisy parody, like the docu-parody, he's the guy from Noisy. Oh. He's the Goblin, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's such a handsome little man, and then we put him in this disgusting, not little man, he's a short stature.
No, but he's handsome.
Yeah, he's short, handsome actor, you know, they're all short.
Yeah. And mild-mannered in that episode.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
And he, but if you go through my videos, he's in like 90% of the shit I've done. So the Comedy Central shorts, What Would Diplo Do, music videos, he's like peppered in everywhere. I think he's incredible. Super funny guy.
Wow.
Especially as the Goblin. Like, you know, he and I sit before those interviews and I give him like a few prompts that we come up with together, and then he just rolls with it. He's so goddamn funny. But so this movie, I met him through that, and yeah, the movie is what it is, you know, but it was like an incredible experience. And at the same time, like, we're making, you know, through film school, I was only required to make 3 films. Also, they were like shot on Bolex and I had to edit with a razor. I used to pay my buddy in sandwiches to cut them because I was like, I don't want to be an editor. I want to learn the craft of editing, but I don't want to cut with razors. I'm never going to do this. So my buddy Brandon.
What year was this?
This was 2000. I was in film school from 2004 to 2008. We were the last class to cut with fucking razors, which was cool to say that we did it. I did one of them, but then I was like, what? I'm never gonna do this.
This isn't the future.
No. So I used to pay my buddy Brandon in Subway to do it for me because I was like,
Jared from Subway.
Yeah, yeah. He'd come and cut it. Weird guy. So and then music videos. So then I moved, and at this time, all through high school and college, I was working at Blockbuster as well. I got that job through my buddy, his older brother, Brad Miska, got me that job. And then he later on started this website called Bloody Disgusting. It's like the #1 horror review website on the internet. And, my voice just that was awesome. We used to go to Sundance with him and write reviews. I more so just tagged along and got to see movies.
At Sundance?
Yeah, and this was back in 2004 through 2007. My buddy Zach would actually write the reviews because he's very talented and smart. But through that, and it was at the time, it didn't feel, and probably because the internet and social media, it felt very small and cool. Now it's like a big thing, you know? But I got to see so many movies. Like, we saw the premiere of Little Miss Sunshine, had no clue what we were walking into. You know, we saw all these amazing films. And then through that, I met this guy who was a manager. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be moving to L.A. He's like, cool, when you need an internship, let us know. So my last semester of film school is out here at the CBS Radford lot. It was like an honors program you had to apply to. And basically every day from 9 to 5, different people from the industry would come in and speak. Everything from an assistant to an agent to a big writer who's written many films, and they would just tell their story. It was almost like listening to a podcast. Yeah. But it was very insightful because you learn that there is no right way to come up in this business, you know?
Yeah.
At film school is all the art and the craft, and they would talk about the business a little bit, but this was wow, really eye-opening. So then I got 5 internships Like anyone who would give me an internship, I took it, including that guy I met at Sundance. And then
this is in LA.
Yeah, in LA, 2008. And then I couldn't get a job waiting tables, which is insane because all through Chicago, I was waiting tables at like restaurants off Michigan Avenue, which is on the resume for a waiter. I thought was pretty dope.
Yeah.
I walked from Ventura and Vineland to this ArcLight, which is, I don't know how many miles it is, and dropped my waiter resume off at every restaurant. And I couldn't get it because, if you get one of those jobs here, you like stick with it.
Yeah.
And then through a friend, I got a job as a host at a wine bar. So I took it. So I was doing all these internships. And then this one in particular at Underground Films, I wrote this coverage. Do you know those guys, Underground Films?
Sound familiar.
It's like Nick Osborne, Trevor Engelson, Ollie Opes at the time.
Nick Osborne, yes.
So I wrote really specific coverage, and I didn't realize it was by a guy named Goran Dukic who wrote a film that I saw at Sundance, and I referenced his film in it. And they're like, we're looking for an assistant here. We want someone with 2 to 3 years agency experience or whatever it was. But we're also looking for someone who's like interested in being a writer, because Nick is a writer-producer, because it was a management company and a production company. So I was just thrown in the fire and became an assistant, which I wasn't even fully sure what that meant. And I did that for 4.5 years, and I learned the business like crash course style. You know what I mean?
What'd they have you do as an assistant? Was it like picking up stuff, or was it like actual work?
Actual work.
Nice.
But also picking up stuff. It was all encompassing. I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience. I learned everything from it was a small company, so they would and they were doing big things. It was awesome. So they were taking a pitch to Warner Brothers. They would bring the writers in and do a practice pitch and have me in the room and take notes and spitball ideas. They made a movie in New York, and Nick was the only, producer on it, and he took me with him for 6 months. And I was, the assistant to the producer, and I was very intimately involved in the development of the script. And then, when it got made, I would sit every lunch with him, the DP, the director, and the first AD. And, at the time, back when I was making stuff in film school and high school, it was everyone doing everything. I got to learn the roles and how everyone interacts and all that. There was also a major celebrity in it, and I got to see how they maneuver that whole thing, even casting and giving points and this, that, and the other. So that experience was amazing. But I would be reading anywhere from 12 to 20 scripts a weekend, writing coverage, running all their clients' schedules, reading their clients' scripts, dealing with their personal lives. They're all homies. I'm still friends with them to this day. Dude. And I look back on the times fondly, definitely a little scarred. I have this reoccurring dream where I'm driving to set to direct something, and one of them call me and being like, dude, I hate to ask you this, but I need you to cover the desk today. My assistant's sick. And I say yes. Oh. And I wake up and I'm like, ah. But then also through that, I met so I'm not really shooting during this time because it's impossible. It's literally 24 hours a day
to shoot and be an assistant.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I could write because I could put down the pen, and the writing only involves me or a writing partner. But to organize a shoot, I just couldn't do it. But then they signed this guy named John LaJoie, who you might know from Taco on the League. Mm-hmm. But at the time, they signed him off his YouTube videos. And he's getting millions of views. He made this video at the time called Everyday Normal Guy and Show Me Your Genitals. So he's from Canada, and he moves to LA. And we just start, he's just he's a client. He's coming in, and we start talking. And I'm new to LA. He's new to LA. And we realize we kind of have similar sensibilities, both professionally and personally. And we start hanging out. And then one day he comes to the office to shoot this video called Too Fast. It's about coming too fast. And he's literally holding the camera, pointing it at himself. And I was like, hey, man, I went to film school. I'm trying to be a director. Da-da. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this video called I Can Dance. Do you want to shoot it? I'm like, yeah, great. So we make this video, and it's just the two of us passing a camera back and forth in the valley. We shoot in my apartment, this, that, and the other. And that started our creative relationship together. And that through those videos and his continued rise, and with his managers and agents pushing him, Jeff and Jackie Schaefer, the creators of the League, discovered him and put him in the show. So I'm still doing his videos, shooting them when I can. He's super cool and the best guy ever, very dear friend of mine. So, he's understanding of I'm an assistant. I'm also writing my own thing. So we'd schedule shoots together, this, that, and the other. And eventually my bosses were like, yo, these videos are getting 10 tens of millions of views, you got to do something that kind of showcases what you bring to it. Because we know that you have this thing in your head, you know, how you want to make things, the cinematic approach, And through my years at Underground and watching them discover people and who they signed and who they were pursuing based on music videos or scripts or social stunts or whatever, I was like, I need to make something that's going to like capture people's attention and make them look at this and go, who made this? So at the time, my ex-girlfriend who I was living with at the time, she was really in the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was sponsored by Fleshlight. I was like, what the fuck's this Fleshlight? And I Googled it. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. That same week, I was watching Weird Science and drinking a little, and it all just hit me. I'm like, I want to make a fake trailer for a movie that has like the heart of John Hughes, but about a Fleshlight. So I came up with this concept. And then I went to a buddy of mine, Zach, who I've been working with since, you know, the 6th grade. We write this script, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this fake trailer and make it feel really, really real and sincere. And by the way, I'm all over the place, but, you know, as I'm an assistant, all my friends from film school on like the physical side, like the DPs, the editors, they're all coming up on set as PAs and then cameras assistants. So they're going through that crash course, learning everything. So I tap all them, and I'm like, I need to make this. It has to look like a movie. It has to feel really real and sincere.
You're all in with this.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, I have to get one of these 6 porn stars who has a Fleshlight. So I look at the website, and I'm like, okay, this chick Riley Steele was just in Piranha 3 Double D with Paul Scheer, who's on The League with John. Mm-hmm. She's clearly like trying to cross over. Maybe she'd be into it. Or Jenna Hayes. She's huge. She had a little role in Superbad. So through like me basically asking, does anyone know people in this world? Because I'm a kid from Chicago. I don't know anyone in porn. I'm a fan. I don't know anyone. But through like 7 different people, I'm able to get Jenna's email address. And I email her and I say, hey, I wrote this script. I'm looking to do this project. If you have any interest, let me know. She calls me. I walk her through what I want to do, and she goes, this sounds awesome. I'd love to do something like this. Have you spoken to Fleshlight yet? Like, how are you going to pay for this? I'm like, I have no idea. And she's like, let me put you in touch with Fleshlight. Mind you, I'm an assistant, so that phone call I took over lunch in the back of the office while everyone's gone, and I have an intern covering my desk answering the phones. So then I set up a call with the president or the vice president of Fleshlight. I call him at 6 a.m. on my drive to my job. I walk him through the whole thing, and he's like, yeah, we're in. How much do you need? And I say X, and he goes, cool, we'll wire that to you this afternoon. So over lunch, I had to go to the bank and start a separate account because I'm like, where am I going to put this money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that took me 3 months to make. It took me 3 days to shoot, but like prep, shoot, and edit because I was a full-time assistant. Over lunch, I would have the production designer come through. I'd have the DP nights and weekends. I'd be prepping and this, that, and the other. So but through working at Underground and everything, like I cast James Hong in it, and that was all through like the knowledge of watching them do it on a much bigger level, and then me, you know, applying it to this smaller thing, and then it came out, and a lot of people thought it was real, you know.
Yeah.
And I also hired a PR company and put out press releases as if it was real.
Wow.
You can find online. Like I was quoted saying like, someone once told me to write about what you know, so I did, and like all this stuff. Yeah, and through that I got my agent and manager and lawyer, and then the next step was like, I want to do a music video. I grew up on music videos. Music is so important to me and a part of who I am and creatively. So I reached out to this group that I love called Future Cop. They're a British like synth wavy 80s pop electro band.
These are all cold emails.
These are cold emails. I go on their Facebook and find their contact. And I go, hey, I'd love to do your guys' next music video. And they're like, we have X amount of dollars. And I was like, cool, I just sold a script. So I had piles of scripts written that no one would read. And then once I got an agent, I sold one of them. So I was like, I'll match you to get a video done. So their stuff's very like 80s sounding. I contacted Golf and Stuff from Karate Kid, you know, the mini golf course from Karate Kid. I was like, I'd love to come shoot here. And they let me for like while they were open. John made a cameo in the video, which was very cool and helped push it, you know. And that was my first like real music video, you know, once I started like trying to pursue this.
Now, after you've done the Fleshlight and you're doing other music videos, you go back to John to do more music videos?
John comes to me and he's like, because, before this, we're just passing a camera back and forth, the two of us, like driving around in his Camry, stuffed with costumes in there, have a wheelchair to do dolly shots like this, that, and the other. And he's like, dude, I want to do something with the crew that you just did Flesh Lightning with. So we made a video called Fuck Everything. And it's a rap video, and it's really fun.
Nice.
And it was taking that, the next level and applying it to him and what he does.
Yeah. And you guys co-directed that, or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So how does that work out?
John comes to me with an idea. He's like, I have this song called Fuck Everything. Here's what I was thinking when I was writing it. Here's what I'm thinking, aesthetically. And then I'm like, cool, this is how I think we execute it. I think, what if we try this, that, and we just really collaborate, at every level. And then, he's in front of the camera and I'm behind the monitor. So it's really a cool, nice experience.
That's great. Dude.
Yeah. And then we've gone on, we did a bunch of videos at this level together. We made this one called Please Use This Song that we're super proud of. That was like a deconstruction of a bunch of commercials, which was,
incredible.
John wrote this amazing song. And then recently he's started this side project called Wolfie's Just Fine, which is like his legitimate non-comedy project. And we've done 3 videos for that project now.
And kids are in all those ones, right?
In the first 2, there's kids, and then we did one this year where we had Xander Berkeley, this awesome actor who's on like The Walking Dead. He was in Terminator 2, and we just did with him. But that was like the same thing. John would be like, "Here's the song, here's the idea," and then we just like fully dive into it together.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's fun because I'm directing all this stuff on my own all the time, very collaborative with my whole crew, and then to like bounce off someone in that role is fun, especially John, because we understand each other and we have a really close relationship.
Yeah. So from these videos, is that how you meet up with Diplo? Like, how do you get involved with the Diplo universe?
The Necrogoblicon, everything, a lot of my projects I can trace back to Necrogoblicon.
That's great.
Necrogoblicon comes out, and I don't know what to think. Like, I don't know how it's going to be received. I'm so proud of it, but I don't know. And it gets on the front page of Reddit, and then it just like explodes. And then Diplo tweets the word Necrogoblicon, and all my friends back home are hitting me up because I've been listening to Diplo since I was in high school when he was making like backpacker hip hop beats, and like I love Major Lazer and all this, and I was like, holy shit, what? And then through my manager, I was put in touch with Diplo's manager, Kevin Casatu. And he's like, I saw the video and showed it to Diplo. We want to work with you. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do the live action Major Lazer. Because, Major Lazer is his other band, and it's their mascot or whatever is like this cartoon, futuristic, cosmic war hero guy.
Yeah.
He's like this big buff black dude with a gun arm and all this. And I was like, I want to do like the live action. And Diplo emailed me back like, how are you going to do that? I'm like, kind of like the Mortal Kombat video game turned into a movie. That's what I want to do. And he said, cool, go for it. So through my agents and managers, I reached out to Terry Crews because I was like, he's perfect. So we sent him the script, the song, and the Necrogoblicon video. And then he's interested. So we set up a call, and it's like all my agents and managers, all his, they all talk, and we're on the phone waiting to talk. And then they're like, okay, Terry, Brandon, you guys can chat. And Terry's like, dude, I've been that goblin before. I've had that day. I love this.
That's great.
I want to do this, man. I love Major Lazer. I was like, awesome. And then I wrote a really big video, and I didn't have the resources to make it. So I stripped it down to more like a trailer, like mini moments. So I had all these other characters. I'm like, I'm going to try to stunt cast this as much as possible. So my DP was working on the Kroll show, so we got Nick Kroll. I've always wanted to work with Lauren London because I loved that movie Atlanta. She played Nunu. And then Blake. I loved Workaholics. I do love Workaholics.
And Blake was a cold call.
Blake was a cold call. It was the same thing. I didn't know the dude. I just thought, like, I had this character, this biker gang guy, and I was like, I love Blake. And this is so different from what he plays on the show. Maybe he'd be into it. So my manager reached out to Isaac with the Necrogoblicon video and the script. And Blake's like, yeah. So I met Blake that day on set. He was there for a couple hours. We shot the scene with him, Terry, and Lauren. And then later, Blake would contact me because he watched more of my stuff. And he's like, hey, I have this idea for a show. I think you would really get it. And that started mine and Blake's working relationship and friendship.
And you're still building that show right now, right?
Yeah, and we started that in 2013.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And all these were, and then, now going back to Diplo, so then Kevin has been this really awesome person in my life where I have an idea that someone won't understand or give me the money or resources to get done, and Kevin will figure out a way. So I was approached by some big band to write a music video for them, and I wrote what would become Dylan Francis's Not Butter video. I wrote this concept because I came off of 2 bad commercials and a music video that I passed on because the label wanted me to like add more like chicks and make it more sex driven, whereas like it was about kids playing dodgeballs. Like there's no room for it. They're like, add cheerleaders. I'm like, these kids are in the 8th grade. This is not what the video is about. It's not worth it, to make a Frankenstein video in this point in my career.
Yeah.
Like everything I put out has to be of a quality, unless it's a commercial, then I'll shoot a cheeseburger. But so I wrote this video out of frustration and kind of just like reflecting on that, and the label was like, a much bigger label was like, yeah, we're not letting the artist do this. This video is too vulgar and weird and blah blah blah. So I went to Kevin. I'm like, I have this thing. I really believe in it. I have this feeling. I know it's going to be great. I just need to figure out how to get it done. And he's like, we have this other client, Dylan Francis. I think this is like right up his alley. Dylan read it, loved it. We made the video, and got like Vimeo staff picked and played at South by Southwest and won the Berlin Music Video Film Festival. And that started mine and Dylan's relationship. And then Kevin would come back to me from time to time with projects, and I'd come to him. And then the TV show happened by complete accident. He was like, hey, Diplo has this tour coming up, his Mad Decent Block Party, which is his touring thing where he takes a bunch of his artists and they go around the country and play. And he's like, we want to make a commercial for it. Here's some other EDM festival commercials. We want something completely different. Write whatever. So I wrote 5 ideas.
And they gave you a budget before you had the ideas?
Yeah. So I wrote 5 ideas. The one that I liked the best, and thankfully Diplo and Kevin liked the best, was this idea of, because at this point in my career, I've done a bunch of big EDM videos. I worked with Dylan, Diplo, Kill the Noise, all these folks. And I've taken meetings in Hollywood where people were like, we want to crack EDM, but we want to like Ballers or Entourage. And these guys just aren't that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, some of my friends back home were like, man, Diplo must be so lit, or Dylan Francis. And I'm like, they're just like dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're really just dudes. So I wrote the version that I felt like everyone wanted me to tell them, where it was like this guy waking up in like a gold bed, and he's like, sup fam, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, who could play him? Maybe James Vanderbeek?
That was the first one that came out?
Yeah. He was like, he kind of looks like him, and he played himself, like he deconstructed his own image on a B in Apartment 23. Maybe he'd be down. So I, like per usual, and my manager sent his manager the script with, this time, Not Butter, not Necrogoblicon. And James was like, yeah, I'm interested. I just want to sit with the director and the writer. So we met for coffee. He was down. He's like, can we add a ninja fight scene? I've been doing some training. I was like, hell yes. I've never shot action before.
Yeah.
And I get to work with these guys he's training with at 8711, like the guys, behind John Wick and all this awesome stuff.
You got to train with you.
I got to work with them. So they trained, they choreographed that whole fight scene. And, on the day I kind of went to them. I'm like, yo, here's my shot list. Let's collaborate. Like, you guys have shot more action than I've never shot action before. So let's go. And, here's my shot list. Let's collaborate. And we shot that whole fight scene in there. And then, we wrap. James, thanks. Nice to meet you. Hope to work together again. Don't think about it again. I'm in Chicago now. So that was in like February or March. The video's coming out in July. So I'm in Chicago. I'm directing Andrew Santino's stand-up special for Showtime.
What year is this?
2016.
2016. This is before the Comedy Central stuff you did?
No, this is during.
Okay.
Yeah. So lots going on.
Yeah.
So I'm directing Andrew's special back home in Chicago. I met Andrew when I was an assistant because he was a client of my boss's. And then he just, we became friends, and he'd follow my career, and he's been a huge supporter of mine. Big mensch. And then also, I'm going through the process of booking my first legit TV pilot for MTV. And then I get a call from Kevin, Diplo's manager, being like, hey, my buddy over at Viceland saw this. He thinks it's a show, the Diplo commercial. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, this fictional version of Diplo is a show, like a Mr. Bean Spinal Tap weird thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, cool. I'll call James. So I called James, and he was kind of like, I don't know. Like, is it a show? Like, because
had he met Diplo
at this point?
At this point,
no. He studied Diplo though. I mean, dude, he crushed it in that commercial.
He did.
He murdered it. He also did a rewrite on the dialogue on that. He's like, "Do you mind if I take a pass?" I was like, "Yeah, go for it." Here's the
add more lits and fans.
Yeah, here's the FDX. Yeah, and he murdered it. So, but then he called me back and he's like, "I think there is a show here. Let's go." And then cut to like 2 months later, he calls me. He's like, "We got to go to New York and talk to Spike." I was like, "I thought we're doing this with Viceland." He's like, "No, Spike Jonze. He's like the gatekeeper." I was like, oh my God, okay. So 2 days later, I book a flight. I sleep on James' couch at his hotel in New York. And we sit with Spike Jonze for like 4.5 hours. And then he's like, yeah, let's do it. So, that was incredible. And being a music video director and loving his music videos, working with him was insane. Once we started writing, he was out in LA, and he sat with us in the writer's room, and we kind of walked him through everything, and he gave us notes, and also directing notes, and so many things that like made it into the show, and also the way that I went about shooting it were, these little gems he said that I just wrote down. I was like, don't forget this,
That's awesome.
He's like, always roll long, Yeah. It's like you never add like in post to a moment, like just an emotional moment, just hold on it as long as you possibly can, because you can cut it, but you can't add to it, you know?
And it's digital now, so we
ain't
wasting film.
Yeah. So yeah, the Diplo show came from, you can trace it back to Diplo and Kevin saw, Necrogoblicon,
That's
the little
incredible.
goblin that could.
But that commercial that you did for Diplo got you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible, dude.
Never intended it. At the time, again, it was like I was doing Andrew's Showtime special. I've never done a live special.
What's that like? What's it like preparing for that as opposed to a show?
I'm all about pre-production and everything that I do. I like to walk onto set as if the thing is already edited, because that then allows for happy accidents, because it's so dialed in that then when something new happens, when something new happens, you can explore it rather than trying to figure everything out on the fly. I'm really anal about heavy pre-production. So I brought that into the live element, and I was like, okay, I want these cameras on sliders doing this. I want this camera doing that. Let's get into the production design and lighting design of it more than just like the week ahead of time. Like, I met with Andrew months beforehand, and the production company that brought me on months beforehand. So I brought, and same thing with the TV show, all the music video ethics I brought into both TV and the live special. It is very different though, because you're shooting live with 7 cameras, where usually music video is single camera, and TV's too. But again, just treating it with a level of prep into it, even just rehearsals and whatnot, and hearing the piece with the content with Andrew beforehand, and kind of mapping out how we were going to do it. I don't know if that's a good answer, but I went into it the same way that I would prep anything else. September 22nd, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., Magical Day Radical.
Boom.
At 1720 downtown LA.
18 and over, y'all.
We got Uncle Blazer on the 1s and digital 2s, Blake Anderson. We got DJ Paz.
Dem Ham Boys.
We got Fade Up, Fade Out, Bye Bye.
Colleen Green.
Distractor.
Samira Winter.
Dumb Bitches with Internet.
We got them vendors.
If you need any information, just go find Magical Day Radical on Instagram or the Wonk Instagram account. We got the flyer up there with all the intel, and you can RSVP for free. Get there before 9, get in for free.
Magical to Radical.
Boom.
During the Santino and Diplo, you're doing Comedy Central shorts.
So what happened with that was in 2015, Andrew and I and Adam Ray pitch a show to Comedy Central Digital based on a music video I made with Andrew and Adam. They wrote this song called Shaving My Face, and they're like, do you want to direct it? I was like, yeah, I think you guys are hysterical. We make this video, and then we develop a show around it, and we go and pitch it. We don't set it up, but then they watched a bunch of my work, and they're like, you're getting millions of views on all these videos scattered across from sketches to music videos, but you don't have like an entity. Like, I'm not a YouTuber or something like that. I don't have like a machine behind me. They're like, what if you came and did that for us? And I was like, yeah, of course. So the deal was basically I would deliver a video a month for them, but I was non-exclusive. So at the same time, while I was doing that, I also made Dylan Francis Not Butter video. I made the Panic at the Disco video that got nominated for a VMA. I made the I Do Coke video for Kill the Noise. I did a lot of shit. I was writing with Blake, but it was amazing because I really learned how to work with a network very intimately and get notes and receive notes and work together. It was like such just like being an assistant. It was a really fun and creatively fulfilling experience, but also educational.
Yeah. And you met, you did the coach who clothed them.
Yes.
With Amanda Cerny. You met her before that on a video, right?
Yes. The way that I met Amanda was through Necrogoblicon. I saw a band called Fart Barf play at the Old Town Pub in Pasadena, and they were awesome. And I was like, and they sound to me, I would describe them as like John Carpenter synth with like Daft Punk dance. And one of my buddies and I were working on an idea for a script about a babysitter slasher, but flipping it on its head. So we were like, why don't we make a music video as almost like a proof of concept? And we're like, okay, we got to cast someone that people would think would be the girl in a slasher film. So first we went to like CW stars, but the band's called Fart Barf.
Yeah.
So as my agent sending that out, it's not really getting too far. And then this is 2014 or 2014 or 15. And we're like, Vine is like blowing up. These kids, the ones that there's going to be a few that cross over. And Amanda was huge. So I found her email on her website.
Great. And
emailed her and said, hey.
Would you email her with Necrogoblicon again?
Probably Necrogoblicon and Major Lazer or something. And I was like, this was the last thing I shot before starting the Comedy Central gig. And I was like, hey, I'm this director. Here's some of my videos. I want to do this short film essentially dressed as a music video. I think you'd be great in it. So we met for lunch. She was down. I'm like, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm going to shoot you like you've never been shot before. You're going to do all your own stunts. I'm going to put you in touch with, our stunt team. And she was down, and she crushed it. Like, we went and did stunt rehearsals. I also went and I test shot her. I would direct her through scenes and then show her what she looked like and kind of coached her through that. And then we shot that video in 2 days. And yeah, I got like Vimeo staff picked and whatnot and got out there. And that was the beginning of our relationship. And then when I started doing the things at Comedy Central, sometimes the way that the projects would come, it would either be like, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. Write something for Valentine's Day. Or Valentine's Day is coming up. We have this piece of talent. Let's write something for him or her. Or Valentine's Day is coming up. We love these two writers. Talk to them. Come up with an idea, the three of you or whomever, two of you, and then he or she will write it, blah, blah, blah. So a few times when casting, I was like, Amanda's great. She's down. She's excited. So I put her in this thing called Helpful Larry, this Halloween thing that we did. She's in that. And then, and Coach Who Clothed Them, I reached out to her as well. She was down.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
When you were doing those Comedy Central videos, you also you did Hip Hop Courtroom with white women.
Yep.
So I know them. I know Iffy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Iffy used to be down in Orange County and doing the stand-up and stuff.
Oh, so, nice.
What was it like having a big group like that and working with was it their idea for Hip Hop Courtroom?
It was their idea, and then Comedy Central was able to get T-Pain, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So, that was another thing that was really cool as a director. Like, I've directed stuff that I've written, but then also that prepped me for like the first pilot I made that got me in the DGA and all that stuff was for MTV that two other guys wrote and a showrunner brought to me. and all the experiences like Hip Hop Courtroom, working with a group where they're like, we have this idea, and then I'd come in as director and be like, what if we thought about this, what if you thought about that? They would do a rewrite. I would do like a production pass where I would just write in like camera and directorial notes and just really collaborate. That was all school for then going off and making TV in that same capacity. That, you know what I mean? It's like the training wheel version. It was like great. The short form. And T-Pain was awesome.
Yeah. He had fun in it.
Oh yeah.
He loved being behind that desk. It looked like it.
Oh yeah, he was there all day.
It
was awesome.
Was he improvising a lot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So many of the moments in there he was just improvising. But the cool thing was we'd get what's in, on the script and then just let him go.
That's
and then
good.
we'd cut that stuff in.
That's dope.
But yeah, the white women they're great.
They are great.
I did another video with them at Comedy Central that didn't pop off as hard. It was their rules of St. Patrick's Day. It was like them going through like how to handle getting through St. Patrick's Day at bars.
I saw that one.
Yeah. I like those dudes a lot.
They're great. Mm-hmm. I wonder why they don't have a show yet, like a show.
I know Carl's been like acting a bunch and Zeke's writing on something. They're all dope. I know they need their own show for sure.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Get at us, Hollywood.
Get at us. Let's
or get at white women.
And Adam Ray and all them. Like,
oh yeah.
I wrote a show for Adam Ray and Brad Williams.
Yeah.
Like a buddy cop.
Oh,
comedy.
Great. Yeah. They're hilarious. So Adam and when I came into Comedy Central Digital, they were figuring out the digital side of things. So they're like, let's mess around on Vine. Here's like a chunk of change. Just go make shit. Maybe we'll release it. Maybe we won't. And they're like, let's get in some funny people. So I had Adam and Brad come in, and we ran around Santa Monica shooting videos for Vine, but like higher end,
with Comedy Central's money. That's the best.
It was so fun. We made some really fun shit. And it was just like, it tapped into that brain of like making things in high school where it was like, here's this new medium, figure it out.
Yeah.
Just go. And we would just like write sentence ideas of like little shorts and then run out and shoot them.
Yeah.
I should find those. They were so funny.
Find them and then put them all to compilations. Are the best. I put mine up the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also did that with these two comedians, Barbara Gray and Whitney
Cummings.
No.
Oh
shit! Forgetting Whitney's last name.
Houston.
No, something with a T. Well, shout out to them. But they put out the compilation of everything we shot for Comedy Central Vine, and it was fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That catching up to the time limit that each of those gave you, like Vine gave you 10 seconds, then Instagram gave you a minute, and so like your brain thought like that for a while.
Oh yeah,
like
definitely.
I'm always just thinking, we can't do that one because it's a minute.
Yeah,
kind of limits you a little bit, but
totally
messes with your brain and creativity.
I was so used to making music videos and taking like the Necrogoblicon video or Major Lazer, all of mine are like really like short films basically dressed as music videos. So I'd always be taking these big ideas and then condensing them down to 3.5 to 4.5 minutes. So then it was kind of the same approach. It's like, let's think of a really fun idea, but then how do we execute it in 6 seconds, or how do we execute it in 15 seconds?
Yeah. So let's talk about commercials.
Yeah.
Right? How do you... Just straight up, how do you get commercials?
I have a weird relationship with commercials, because and same with music videos. The way that I've booked every music video, or at least 95% of my music videos, have been an artist saw a video of mine and then contacted me. So Diplo saw Necrogoblicon, Dylan was through Kevin. Panic was he saw my Dylan Francis video and contacted me through Dylan. Traditionally, what you do is, and I've bid on these videos and I don't book them, is traditionally my music video reps are like, hey, so-and-so's looking for a video. Here's the budget. Here's the creative or sort of what they want you to know. Now write. And then I write a concept. And then we put together a deck, which is basically like a picture book version of the music video. And then they send it to the artist, the label, the management, and then they pick one. So, they probably go out to like 30 directors at a time when they do this. I've never booked a video like that. Like, I've only booked videos through like people reaching out to me, which is amazing. But I've never booked a video for like I once bid on like a Justin Bieber video, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've never booked something in that regards. And then same thing with commercials. It's the same thing. They go out to a bunch of directors. You triple bid. So basically like they pick 3 directors. You're all doing the treatment process and then getting on the phone and pitching and blah, 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 blah. I've only booked a few commercials traditionally like that. The other stuff that I've done has been like a brand saw one of my videos and was like, we would love to do something.
One of your music videos.
One of your music videos, or Comedy Central, or What Would Diplo Do, something. And they're like, we would love to work with you. So the way that I write music videos is I break down the song musically by movements. So I'll write like time code. I'll write like, I do 2 things. I write the story, just whatever I feel, like whatever it's making me feel, and I just write it as if it's going to be a full movie or whatever. And then I break down the time code. So I write like 00 to 013, and that's like the intro, like then when it goes like duh, then I'm like, okay, 014 to 022. So I break the song down by movements, and then I take the script that I wrote, which I write just like a normal script, and then I start implementing it into these time codes. So again, I'm like kind of editing the video before it's done. And then again, in the edit, we can have happy accidents, change everything, show up on set. But I sort of do it like that. So it's like I have this very detailed time code and then very detailed script, and then I sort of marry the 2 of them together. So when I go to my DP, when I go to my production designer, when I go to my editor, when I go to the actors, you're really visualizing it. I'm trying to make it as visual as possible before ever stepping on the set. So all these people that I'm bringing on, who I want them to bring all of their creativity and collaborate with, I want them to see it as clear as I do in my head. So I do everything possible, and also for myself, to see it beforehand. And then depending on the project, if I have to go more the traditional label route, I will then pass that off to my music video reps. And they have a team of graphic designers who will work with me to put together a visual presentation, which is like the picture book version, where I'm like, okay, I aesthetically see it like this. It's like these sort of colors and this sort of mood. And they will put together one of these pitch decks with my text, and then, with images. So I can also, like I was saying, I can send you a few of these that I've used before. For videos that have come out, because I think that is how I've sent that to other people who've wanted to see it before. I'm like, hey, here's a video I've put out. Here's what it looked like in written format, or here's a video I've put out beforehand, and this is what it looked like in deck format.
Very cool. Yeah, we're gonna put that on the when this is posted on Instagram. If you swipe right, you're gonna be able to see it. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah. I think the Necrogoblicon one could be cool.
Oh yeah, that's the one that started it all, baby.
Yeah, totally.
Do that one. Okay, what about for commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no music really for commercials, so you can't really do time code. What do you do for that one?
So depending, traditionally commercials, they come to you with a concept already beforehand. So the first commercial I ever did, it never came out, but I can show you. It was for a video game for EA, for like a mobile video game. Okay, cool. I think, I put it out. Okay, yeah, it's online. But the way that happened was they saw Necrogoblicon and contacted me, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And I've never done a commercial at that point. So I hit up a buddy. I was like, how does this work? He's like, they're going to present you an idea, and basically you're just going to pitch it back to them, but with your spin on it. Visually, aesthetically, humor-wise, writing, everything. And that's exactly what I did. So they pitched me the idea over the phone. They had a deck already made. They had storyboards already in there. So basically I just rewrote it in my own voice, and then did have, obviously, my visual take and humor and beats and all that. You send that to them, and this is through an ad agency. You send it to the ad agency. Then they're like, okay, we want to present you to EA. So then they come out here, and we get on a phone call with EA and do the same thing. Now I have my own deck, my version of it, everything. We walk them through it, and then they hired me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then but the other side of that is, for instance, I worked with Death Wish Coffee.
Yes.
They were one of the brands I reached out to in the 65 brands to try to get money for Necrogoblicon, and they passed. Then when the video came out, they were like, fuck. They're like, and they're like, but we'd love to work together.
Yeah.
So they're like, we'd love for you to do 2 spots for us. Here are the sort of, demographics and market we're trying to hit. I wrote 2 spots and then did them. And that was very non-traditional. That was like brand direct, which is very different than sort of the traditional booking like I do at the EA. Same with music videos. It's like band direct. That's how I'm always booking them.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do some of the other, more traditional.
Yeah.
And I have treatments for those for days that have never been made, but then I can repurpose them. I've made music videos for artists that I wrote for different art. Like, again, not Butter. That was for a different artist. I did the traditional thing. But
it's for Justin Bieber. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
That'd be dope.
Even my Waves video, that was originally for Sweet Valley, his other group.
Yeah.
And then it ended up becoming a Waves video, which that one too, I just contacted his management I found it on Facebook, and I was like, I want to do a Waves video. And like 3 years later, it happened.
Damn.
A lot of outreach.
Yeah, a lot of outreach.
I feel silly sometimes how much I have to use social media, but I get a lot out of it. It is.
You got a career out of it, brother.
It's more effective than my website or anything as far as getting, music video and commercial work, and also meeting actors, meeting other writers, other directors, all through social media.
Is that how you met? Did you meet Kyle through Blake, or how did you meet Kyle?
I met Kyle because I was doing a music video about an alien woman, and I was looking on Instagram for inspiration for the look, and I came across this model who had her hair done by Marissa.
Oh, so you met Marissa first?
Yeah, and the hair was these two green braids. So I reached out to Marissa, and I was like, "Yo, I'm doing this music video. I want that exact hair."
That's dope.
And then I met Kyle because we went to Kyle's house to get the hair done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that all started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then how did Magical to Radical, where'd the idea of that birth from?
Marissa. And that started from, Marissa and I had a great experience working on this music video. And then I was like, yo, are you down to come out for like these Comedy Central shorts? So she started coming out and doing hair on these Comedy Central shorts. And then she was telling me about how she used to do like party promotion and this, that, and the other. And I was like, my buddies own this venue, the Goblins. And she's like, we should put on a show. It's really Marissa. Marissa is like mama bear on this thing. Like Kyle and I give insight as to what we think, creatively and how the night should go and this, that, and the other. But it is really like Marissa carries this entire thing.
Yeah.
She's the director of the project.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's director, EP. I'm like a producer on it.
Yeah.
I don't think she gives herself as much credit as she deserves because it wouldn't happen without her.
No, she does not give herself enough credit.
I'm like the guy who knew the venue, and I'm like, I love music and I love art, so I'm going to fully support this, and I'm down with it, and I want to be a part of it. But she really puts it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. As always, like and subscribe. And if you go to our Instagram @Wonk Incorporated, you will find examples of what we talked about today. Thank you guys, and see you next week.